Welcome to another episode of Around Kuwait, where we shed the light on the most recent events and focus on trending incidents and occasions, of course. I'm your host Fajr, and today with us are two special guests, Sama and Iman. And of course, as always, they'll be sharing with us their inspirational stories and a number of other things we're going to learn about Sama specifically from Sama and Iman. Welcome, Sama. And Iman, welcome to Around Kuwait.
Thank you so much for having us.
And thank you for coming. And really, I'd like to know more, Sama, from you about art. I didn't say that earlier, but you are a painter. You love literature. Your artistic journey has a lot of highlights, especially for someone of your age. So that by itself is very inspirational. And we'd like to delve into the creative process, how you discover the magic you bring to the canvas. So let's go to the very beginning and tell us how you first discovered your love for art.
Well, I was pretty young, and my cousins used to go to an art studio, and my mom one day she decided, hey, why not try going there? Because she had noticed that I really enjoyed drawing and painting. So we went there. And after a while, I really started pouring everything I have, all of my feelings and emotions, everything that was on my mind, I started pouring them into my paintings. And then my mom noticed this, and we kept on going to the art studio, and my love for art began to increase.
And did you see progress, throughout the time with the paintings, with the way you pour these ideas on the canvas? Did you notice changes?
Yes, as I continued to develop, I noticed that at the beginning, for example, my outlines weren't very neat. I would go outside the lines. But as I continued to grow and develop emotionally and artistically, I noticed a lot of changes and a lot of improvements and things that I could improve on.
Wow, and of course, Iman, your mom must always keep an eye on you and see these small improvements. She must be so proud.
Absolutely, I'm very proud of everything she's achieved so far. But I think, like Sama said, the most important thing is that we always want our children to be healthy, not only physically, but also mentally and emotionally. So the art really helps bring out all the emotions. It's like a way of expressing ourselves, and what better way to do it than art?
And it's so nice for us moms to be able to help our daughters or our children in general find these outlets where they can express themselves. So what made you, like Sama said, you decided to introduce her to art classes because you saw some talent? So what was the motivation behind that?
I think that all the children at a young age, they start scribbling on paper, and they like to explore paint with their hands, with the brush. So I thought
textures, different
yes,
mediums.
Absolutely. And I was the kind of mom that liked to, allow her to paint as she wishes. She would get dirty from head to toes. But then, when my friend told me about this place that she's taking her kids, I was like, okay, so it's a structure, they have more information, they have more knowledge about art.
They have the professionalism of teaching it.
Exactly. But also the good thing about art is that, she's able to do it her own way. It doesn't have to be a certain way.
So since you're doing it your own way, and your mom, luckily enough for you, Sama, Allah يحفظكم, gives you this free space to explore, how have you noticed that your art has grown throughout the years?
Well, every now and then when I would bring my paintings home after completing them, we would hang them on the wall next to each other. And I would sometimes when I woke up for school, when I walked through the hallway and looked at my paintings, I looked at the first one, second one, third one, and on and on and on. And I noticed that I keep on growing. My art is becoming better. I'm expressing more imagination.
Oh, and you notice that.
Yes.
And you're aware of that.
Yes.
That is so beautiful. How does that make you feel, Sama?
It makes me feel wonderful.
Wow, I'm feeling wonderful just by like learning this from you. I want to know also, where do you find inspiration? I know you enjoy reading, you enjoy Harry Potter very much. So
Yes.
I want to understand more about all these other things, or the, not necessarily, maybe you have other hobbies, maybe you enjoy watching movies, you know, inspiration is found everywhere. So I'd like to know if there's any relation between reading, or your love for reading and literature specifically, and the art you're producing now, because like you said, you just bring out all the ideas in your head on the canvas.
Yes. Yes. Well, reading and literature has really helped me improve and bring out more ideas onto my canvas. Literature specifically as well, writing my own stories, writing poems specifically. I really enjoy being a poet. And these ideas, these words, these colors I see in my head, I let them out on the canvas from the stories that I've read, from the tales that I've heard.
From the poems you write as well?
Yes, definitely.
That's beautiful. And like, walk us through the steps of art making, the steps you do with your paintings, because you said, like, mashallah, you're very multi-talented and you express in different mediums in different ways, whether it's vocally with your poems, if you read them out, whether by writing or even by the paintings that we're highlighting today. So tell us the steps you go through when creating these paintings.
Well, first of all, I take a piece of paper and I draw what I'm feeling, what I want to express today, right? And then I take out my canvas. Usually we take old ones that have been painted on but left behind, and I paint over it, and I explore with the different colors and shapes. And then once it's dry, I flip it around in different perspectives to look at it in a new way.
And when you flip it around once it's dry,
yeah.
So you have a better eye.
Yes.
Okay. Nice.
So
that gives you the perspective you're talking about.
Exactly.
Wow.
And then I once I see something, and I keep on drawing shapes along the way, and once I see something and I want to keep it with me permanently, I take out markers or paints or ink or clay or anything, and I start to let out the ideas in my head and add them to whatever I see on the canvas.
Wow. And does your mom do the same? I want to ask her, Iman, since you also started painting and you yourself are into art now, so do you follow the same steps?
Yes, I think that a lot of the things that we provide for our children are things that we actually wanted to do as children. Maybe I didn't have the chance to do it
so
as a
true,
child.
actually, and so valid.
Yeah. So, but when I look at my family, I see that, you know, my brothers are also very artistic. My dad is also artistic. So was my mom. So I guess it was in my blood, but I never had the chance to really
let it out.
Yeah, let it out. So it happened that, you know, I was dropping Sama off, and, you know, I was offered to do a session to learn about art, to learn about the different mediums I can use. And I took that chance, and it turned out it was there. So yeah, I was very lucky.
That's so beautiful. Iman, how do you manage to balance all these activities between Sama's interests in literature, art, and I'm sure her schoolwork also takes a bulk of time. So all these responsibilities, it's so hard to balance. How do you manage it?
I think that they are very hard, but they should coexist, which means art is a part of her life. An artist looks at everything around them in a different way. It helps them admire nature around them. It helps them see the beauty everywhere around them. And sometimes she could be studying and scribbling at the same time. It helps her focus. But to do the actual art, we put the weekend for that. So during the week, she does different art, like scribbling, doodling. And then on the weekend, she does like the professional art. But also when she has any extra time, she also does art then.
Do you ever feel you need a break from art?
Sometimes I feel like I'm taking it a bit too far, like I'm adding too much on the canvas and it's all crammed together, and the shapes and colors aren't really like complementing each other as I would like. So I put it aside for a bit and I scribble or I draw or I write a poem quickly, or I take a walk outside. And then once I feel like I should go back to that and address those feelings that I felt when I looked at all of that crammed together, I go back to it and I take a bit of a calmer color and take away all of the extra pieces that are
That is such a beautiful reminder, Sama. I needed to hear that. Not related to painting or art, but in general, I think it's so nice for us to be able to do that from time to time. Just take a space, breathe, and reevaluate everything so we could move further and grow forward from there. Sama, is there any other form of art you enjoy other than painting?
Yes, I do like sketching. Like it helps me sometimes when I don't have paint at home that much or I don't have the time for paint, I just quickly take out a pencil and a paper and I sketch on it. Or sometimes like during school when we have free time, or during my lunch sessions and I finish all my food and I'm feeling bored, I open my laptop and I open a new Word document and I start writing whatever comes to mind.
And then you express in that sense. But also, Sama, I'd like to know how you handle balancing your schoolwork, all these activities. I asked that question to your mom, but I'd like to know how you manage to do that.
Well, it is a little challenging because as much as I'd like to just paint and draw and like express myself through art, I also have other responsibilities that I have to do.
Like what?
For example, schoolwork. My knowledge is very important and my education is very important to me.
That is so key. Your knowledge is very important. You keep giving me these beautiful reminders today. I will be saying them in the back of my head. Thank you, Sabah.
Thank you. My education is important to me and I want to learn. I
love learning.
Yeah, like all of the other kids, they don't, not all of them, but most of the other kids, they don't really care and they just come and they don't really appreciate how much the school, how much
Maybe
opportunities.
they appreciate it in a different way. I'm sure they see it from different perspectives. Like you were saying, you see your art in a different perspective. But speaking of other kids, what advice would you give other young aspiring artists who are just about to start, or even people that want to start a hobby but don't know what to do?
Well, like a paintbrush, it's like the starter of a paintbrush or a marker or a pencil. It can be the start of a wonderful art journey. Like no matter what materials you start with, no matter what you have on your mind, if you pick up that pencil and draw a quick sketch, that one sketch or that one feeling that you feel in your mind can turn into something wonderful.
Oh, and this conversation is wonderful indeed. We're going to continue conversation with you, Iman and Sama, but right after this break. Stay with us.
فوق نجمة الثريا والخيال افرح لي يا درب العهد الجديد قايد امجاد الكويت ابو طلال مشعل الاعمار والحكم الرشيد مشعل الاعمار والحكم الرشيد فوق نجمة الثريا والخيال افرح لي يا درب العهد الجديد قايد امجاد الكويت وابو طلال مشعل الاعمار والحكم الرشيد مشعل الاعمار والحكم تمر فيه. هيبة وطيبة وحكمة واعتدال، الأمين الصادق الحر العنيد، من شيوخ العز وشيوخ الرجال، يشهد التاريخ والماضي التالي. هيبة وطيبة وحكمة واعتدال، الأمين الصادق الحر العنيد، من شيوخ العز وشيوخ الرجال، يشهد التاريخ والماضي التالي، يشهد التاريخ والماضي التالي. نبي غير الصباح الشعب قال، كل يوم وحبهم فينا يزيد، من 300 سنة ولا يزال عهدهم بالخير مشهود وأكيد. ما نبي غير الصباح الشعب قال، كل يوم وحبهم فينا يزيد، من 300 سنة ولا يزال عهدهم بالخير مشهود وأكيد، عهدهم بالخير مشهود وأكيد.
And we're back again. This time we're going to understand more about Sama's artwork. Sama, before the break you were telling us about your goals and ambitions for you as an artist.
Yeah.
But I'd like to know, what are the most recent participations of your artwork, if you've participated in any exhibitions or galleries in Kuwait or abroad? Because recently we've been seeing a really nice shift in the art scene in Kuwait.
Yes. In October, me and a few other artists at the art studio that I go to, we had an art exhibition where we displayed and we could sell our paintings as well. And it was a very wonderful and new experience. And at first I felt really nervous, but as soon as people started asking me about my artwork, I started to really start to enjoy the whole
You
experience.
relax.
Yeah, I
And you
relaxed.
enjoyed the experience.
Yeah.
What made it more enjoyable? Was it interacting with people or showcasing your artwork?
I think it was a bit of both, and I also got really happy when I saw my other artist friends get to showcase their art, because they're also very wonderful and amazing artists.
And with your other artist friends, do you talk about art? Do you send inspirations to one another? Do you talk about your favorite artists, books related to art? I want to know what the conversation is like.
Well, me and a few of my closer artist friends, we like to collaborate on art pieces. Like one day we randomly take out an outstretched canvas and we start spilling on colors and paint and having fun with the markers, and we really just explore it through art, and at the same time we like to have our music in the background to help it really bring the mood to the whole situation.
Indeed, Iman, and it's so important to keep that, to ensure that she's always passionate about it, especially that Sama, you're very multi-talented, and it just came to my realization, or new knowledge to me, that you've also created a game.
Yes, I think about a year ago I started taking different ideas and joining them. I really enjoyed that, to see the combination of different things. Sometimes it would be funny, sometimes it would be a bit sad, sometimes it would be the happiest thing in the world. And one day I decided that I wanted to make a chessboard of my own.
Your own chessboard.
Yes, so it would be easier for me to like get used to the game since I wanted to learn. And then once I had drew out the squares on the board, I was like, why don't I make this my own? Why don't I personalize it? Why don't I let it reflect who I am? And instead of normal chess piece characters, I used rocks and glued them to each other, creating my own characters.
And then once you created your own chessboard with your own characters, you said you wanted to learn to play chess, so you obviously learned how to play chess?
No.
Not yet, so that's something on
To
your
improve
to-do
on,
list.
To-do list.
But did you share it with your friends, your art community?
Yes, I would like to give a special thanks to like all of my art friends who contributed ideas to the whole idea as well, because they really liked the whole idea a lot, and they wanted to become a part of it as well.
And what made it so special that they wanted to be part of it?
I think that the characters and the backstory of the whole thing really got them engaged, because the characters, some of them looked funny, some of them looked like they were ready-made. I think that creating backstories for the characters really brought us together as well.
So you created backstories, and that brought everything together. Were you inspired a bit by your love of reading when it came to that connection?
Yes, especially Harry Potter a bit, because like how there are 4 different houses, I took inspiration from that and made instead of 2 teams, it can be a 3-player game. And so there are 3 kingdoms. There's Blue Kingdom, Green, what was it called? Green Kingdom, and there was the Pink Kingdom as well.
So you created colorful kingdoms.
Yes.
And you related it also to your love for Harry Potter, your favorite
Yes.
book maybe, or your favorite character. Who's your favorite artist, Sama?
My favorite artist is Vincent van Gogh.
And what art piece is your favorite from his?
I love Starry Night. I love how it captures,
It's a classic.
it captures the innocence and beauty of nature.
And you love nature, because you
I
were
do.
talking so lively when it came to the discussion we had about the skies and the colors and
Yes.
how it's blended and how it's Allah's creation. So it's so beautiful, and you've said it all so beautifully, Sama. Iman, do you think exposing our children to various forms of art plays a huge role in child's development? Because like you said in the beginning of our interview, you let her explore and you let her get dirty from head to toe, and you give her space. So exploring these mediums as a parent for your child makes a difference, but what difference would that play in the child's development?
I think it's very important, especially nowadays that education has moved from books to devices. We see that children are using other means of learning less. So you don't see kids getting dirty in the mud a lot. You don't see them painting all over the place. It's mostly on devices, and it's a shame, really. So I think it's very important to go back to these, good times that we had, playing with simple things, using stones, painting everywhere. So
Using the nature around us.
using the nature around us to create art, exactly.
So how do you use the nature around you to create art?
Sometimes I like to, for example, I look at the sky and the beautiful sunsets like we talked about, and then I try to create it, what I put down on the canvas to be my feelings when I look at the trees swaying in the wind, the sun setting over the horizon. And
Also
it's
collecting a lot of seashell stones. We have so much at home. Just when we go somewhere, she would say like, wow, this stone looks so nice, it's so beautiful, look how it's cut. So, all these things.
And do you enjoy getting creative with these stones and seashells? I
Yes.
remember when I was your age, maybe, I used to enjoy painting them and then put them in a jar, and they look so nice.
Yes, I take my rocks, and sometimes when I feel like I don't know, I feel like I'm somehow connected to these rocks. Like they've been through a lot, they've changed shape, and like how humans, they change. We change, we have different stages, we have different development, like different speeds of development. So I would take my rocks and I would draw a simple face on it with smiles, and I would keep them as my own.
So whatever you draw is what you feel the rock is feeling, or how you feel with that rock with you. Because like you said, the rock has been through a lot. Like geology by itself is a study of rocks and how they're shaped by nature, and different places, different forms of rocks come from different places because of different reasons, like you were saying. Sama, what is your up-and-coming project that you're mostly excited about?
I think that the most thing that's getting me excited is that me and one of my art friends, we are collaborating on different art pieces.
You enjoy these
yes,
collaborations?
I love like seeing the other person's view of what is in front of me. Like it could be a few simple blocks, but one person can see it as a castle and another can see it as like Lego bricks.
So this collaboration is something you're excited about?
Yes.
And then what's next in your artistic journey for you as Sama the artist?
Well, I really do love poetry, but at the same time I love painting and sculpting. So I want to try maybe to combine those somehow.
And do you think you can still, once they're combined, you can still create as creatively, or would you be limited because of the different textures, because of the different mediums? You know, each form you spoke about requires different skills.
Exactly. But as my mom said, the art studio that we go to, they give us the freedom, and they teach us the basics, and then they give us the freedom to do whatever we want with the skills that they taught us. If we really, really want to, we are allowed to copy others' art pieces and try to somehow turn it into our own. But if we truly feel comfortable, we can combine whatever we want in whatever shapes and sizes and colors, and we turn it into something beautiful.
And I'm sure you face challenges while doing that sometimes. Yeah. So Iman, how do you handle Sama when she's facing specific challenges when it comes to her creative outlets?
That's a very good question, but also like being frustrated is a part of growing up. So sometimes being in a place which is not her comfort zone pushes her actually to be more creative. Because I remember once she came back from the art gallery and she was like, I was doing something I didn't like, I was not comfortable, and I didn't want to do that, but I did it anyway, and now I feel like I need to like change it again. And after that she started scribbling in her notebook, and then she came up with amazing ideas, and it was like, this door was opened. So the pressure and the difficulties, this is all a part of the journey. And
it shapes Sama and you as a mom also,
yes,
to become the wonderful people you are today and in the future, inshallah. Thank you, Iman, so much. Thank you, Sama. I really enjoyed this interview. It really was inspiring, and all the best to the both of you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. We'll be back right after this break. Stay with us for more in Around Kuwait.
يا سلام الله على أجمل وطن يكتب التاريخ فيه ولا يزال ذرة الأوطان في قلب الخليج تحت راية شيخنا أبو طلال تحت راية شيخنا أبو طلال حاكم وعادل وله قدر الكريم الخليج يا دخلنا.
And we're back again after this short break and after this indeed inspirational interview with Sama and her mom Iman. We'll be taking you today to one of my co-hosts, Hiba. Hiba has a very nice report where she will be telling us something very nice, actually very cool. So let's see the report and then we can discuss it together and how ketchup was invented.
Welcome, dear viewers, to our special segment where we're going to talk more about an invention that was discovered back in the days, and it's very important when it comes into using it in our life. In today's segment, we're going to talk more about ketchup, especially that the story behind discovering ketchup is very, very, let's say, something new to be heard for me, and I'm very sure even when it comes into you. And the source of ketchup was actually discovered in the beginning in China. Can you really believe that? I mean, I would never think in a million years that the process, or let's say the beginning of ketchup, was actually discovered in China. But before we head towards the discovering of ketchup, I mean, let's talk more about it. It's more of a flavor that, let's say, more of a taste that adds a flavor to our food. Everyone uses ketchup in, let's say, in eating specific food, whether it's a burger, whether it's French fries. Lots of people do actually add ketchup when they're eating their own rice. Imagine that. I mean, maybe this is a new information for you, maybe it's an old information, but yeah, people do enjoy eating ketchup and using it in different kind of meals. Lots of people are really irritated about the idea of eating ketchup because they don't really like the flavor. Maybe some of them don't like the tomatoes that is used when it comes into ketchup. The idea of having a tomato in their meal could be very scary and terrifying, but I mean, it is a kind of a flavor that people enjoy and a taste that people enjoy, of course. So let's go back to the story of creating ketchup. We said that it was discovered in China. How was it discovered? It was by the following. So they used to take some pieces of fish and they used to dry them, and once they dried, they tried to make them and squeeze them more of a paste. And once they start to use them and create that kind of pasty feeling and the shape, they add certain amount of flavor in order for it to be actually representative as ketchup. Now, the ketchup that we use nowadays is way different than the one that had been used in China. But I mean, can you imagine the idea of taking a fish? Like, I'm talking about myself. I am not a fish person. I don't like to eat any kind of seafood. And the idea that we used to use it by adding that as a flavor in order for us to eat, I mean, it's very terrifying, but I mean, it's more of a taste maybe everyone used to enjoy back in the day. And then somehow the ketchup process was actually developed when it comes into the United Kingdom. Now, the United Kingdom had a way different story when it comes into using ketchup and using the way and the process. They used to use mushroom and to add with it some salt, some pepper, and try to squeeze it into a paste and add it to different kind of food. So, I mean, I can deal with mushrooms somehow, but lots of people do also dislike having the idea for mushroom as more of a tasty flavor for their food. Therefore, it is one of the things that's still ongoing when it comes into the United Kingdom, that this kind of particular sauce is actually being presented and being sold in the market. So if you're not a mushroom person, you have to avoid this kind of flavor when it comes into presenting it to the market itself. But I mean, this is when it comes into the idea of ketchup and how ketchup was developed during the centuries and time itself. So it starts by using the paste of the fish and then moving on to use mushroom, and then we reach to points where they use tomatoes with different kind of course, ingredients. There's sugar and much more. I'm not a person who cooks, so I'm not very good in preparing meals and such, but I'm a person who likes to eat. So ketchup is one of my favorite flavors and favorite things to add to food. I mean, ketchup is very, it gives taste to the food, you know, especially especially for the ones who enjoy having these kind of, let's say, sweet flavor in their food. I mean, ketchup is presented in that kind of way, and I'm very sure everyone could relate to it. We're so sorry for the ones who are really not into ketchup. I mean, this segment was for the ones who love it, and I'm very sure we have a very great of fans of ketchup when it comes into that. But remember, always to know the history of the food that you like, how was it created and presented, and the process until it reached towards nowadays. Now, the question for you today, would you try the previous old ketchup that was presented in China? To me, I don't have a chance in that. So that was our segment for today. Hopefully you enjoyed watching us. See you again in different episodes.
And we're back again after this lovely segment by my co-host and my colleague Hiba Al-Qahtani. Of course, I really wish Hiba was with me in the studio right now. I learned so much about ketchup today. I had no idea I needed to, or I needed to even understand the origin of ketchup. Maybe that segment was for more for the people that are ketchup lovers and fanatics, but I tend to shy away from it recently. My taste palette has changed, but Hiba really gave us a brief history, how ketchup started, why people are so into it, how the taste differs. But make sure that when you're traveling abroad, you don't always order ketchup. That's my opinion, because sometimes it overwhelms the palate of the dish on the table, so it's better to stay away from it. This conversation would have been so much fun had Hiba been here, and I'm sure she's going to create much more interesting reports in the coming episodes. That was it for now. We'll be back with you right after this break. Stay with us.
سطعت ونورت في كل بيت، حيو دار فرحت وفخرت بأميرها، مشعل العز والحزن حبك الأهل الكويت، الكويت اللي زهت في مقام كبيرها. حيو من شمس اسطعت ونورت في كل بيت، وحيو دار فرحت وفخرت بأميرها، مشعال العز والحزم حبك الأهل الكويت، الكويت اللي زهت في مقام كبيرها. حيو حيو شمس اسطعت ونورت في كل بيت، وحيو دار فرحت وفخرت بأميرها، مشعال العز والحزم حبك الأهل الكويت، الكويت اللي زهت في مقام كبيرها. اليوم الشمس اسطعت ونورت في كل بيت، اليوم دار فرحت وفخرت بأميرها، مشعال العز والحزم حبك الأهل الكويت، الكويت اللي زهت في مقام كبيرها. مشعل الأحمد نعم حنا من انت هويت، احنا طلع الأرض هذه أهلها وأحرارها. مشعل الأحمد نعم حنا من انت هويت، احنا طلع الأرض هذه أهلها وأحرارها، وكلنا سمعا وطاعة وساعدك لين انتخب، كلنا سمعا وطاعة وساعدك لين انتخب.
And we're back once more with our final segment concluding today's episode of Around Kuwait. I myself was very inspired by the interview when I interviewed Sama and her lovely mom Iman, and we talked so much about art and how art can be such a creative outlet for children and even moms and people of all ages, really, to express their feelings in different forms and different mediums. It was such a beautiful interview because Sama at 11 years old was able to grasp a number of different concepts that most adults aren't able or aren't aware of the importance of grasping these aspects until midlife. That was our interview for today. As for our segment with my colleague Hiba, it was very, very much enlightening, and she gave me I myself didn't know the history behind ketchup, so that was something I learned today in Around Kuwait. Be sure to tune in the rest of the week every day for more cool topics and inspiring stories. Stay safe and see you soon.